Hey there, it's Shannon here, the co-founder of Wedding Venue Map. So excited to bring to you all the things you need to know and do a quick little interview with Leah from Candyland Designs, also the founder, creator, everything you need to know about an amazing organization here in Central Florida called Wedding Wish. So Leah, for those, let's go back to the beginning. What really inspired you to create Wedding Wish?
Uh, we started Wedding Wish, the nonprofit, during COVID, and it was a time where we were doing really great despite the climate. And the bakery was making so much money, we wanted to give back to the community. And so we decided we were going to give away a free wedding cake to a couple in need. We solicited requests for stories, and we got so many in that it was kind of hard to choose, but we selected a couple that we really wanted to make a donation to. And their story was just so, oh my God, we wanted to do more than just the wedding cake. And so we decided to reach out to a couple other vendors to ask if they would be willing to help with this project that we wanted to do. So we got, a wedding dress and some catering and DJ. And this wedding we put together was just.
Oh, that's incredible. I think when something is born out of the your heart wanting to just give back. So for those who don't know, what exactly does Wedding Wish do and why is it so important?
So originally, it started with just wanting to donate that one wedding cake to a couple in need. And now we grant wishes for couples who can afford their weddings. They're going through medical crises. And what we realized after our first two grants was that they needed more than just a wedding cake and a pretty wedding dress and a venue. They also needed mental health services because they're going through a lot. And so now the nonprofit grants weddings for couples who are suffering from life altering health circumstances. And we also provide mental health services as well.
That's so incredible. I think that there's been such an opportunity through the years of all my time I've been in the industry where we've seen organizations that come through and they kind of do that, grant that wedding and do that wedding giveaway. I know we've done it at Wedding Venue Map when we found a couple in need, but I think it's so important that you've tied that mental health services and support to more or less just giving them the wedding. So, how do you find the couples that receive the wedding wishes?
I think that originally, when we did our very first wedding with Kelly, our first bride, she had created a video about her cancer journey, which kind of went viral on TikTok. And when she made mention to the Wedding Wish nonprofit assisting her on her journey of wedding planning, a lot of people learned about us and they went to the website where brides and grooms are able to submit, and not just brides and grooms, but family members are able to submit applications for couples who would like to become grant recipients. And so people can nominate couples on our website or put in applications on behalf of another couple, in addition to the couple submitting their own applications themselves online.
What kind of stories from, the things that you've seen submitted, what kind of stories stand out, or what are some of the things you've heard that you feel like our community should know?
So, one of the things I had a conversation with a bride just yesterday who wanted to nominate a couple, and she thought that we only granted wishes for terminal patients. And that's not the case. I think that people recognize our first story as being what we do. And we don't just grant wishes for cancer survivors, we grant wishes for couples who are going through any medical crises. And you don't have to be terminal. And I don't pick these couples all by myself. There's an entire board who sits down with these applications and we go through them and they say, yes, this couple deserves to have a wedding wish granted. And one of the stories that almost brought us to tears, there was absolutely nothing medically wrong with the bride or the groom. It was a case where they had a baby, they went into the hospital for delivery and came back out of the hospital with no baby and a medical bill.
Hmm.
And I can't even imagine going to deliver your baby and then walking out of the hospital with no baby and a medical bill, all while you are planning a wedding. And so that's one of the wishes that we also granted. And there was no diagnosis to the couple at all, but they were definitely going through a medical crisis, and that medical bill warranted us to be able to step in and grant a wish.
I mean, I think it's so fantastic to be able to see the need in more spaces than only terminal patients, right? There's so
Yeah.
much opportunity out there for people with one situation or another. And one of the things I love most about our wedding community is that when we get the opportunity to hear someone in need, it's amazing that we now have a local place and a local nonprofit to be able to say, this is where you go, like to be able to get some help and get some support for the situation that you're in. Because I know we participate in wedding shows, and so much of our community is having these one-on-one conversations with couples. So it's wonderful that we've got a local resource right here in our own space to be able to help and support. So let's talk about the magic makers and the wish granters that you have. What does it mean to be a vendor who grants a wish as a part of Wedding Wish?
So I absolutely love our wish granters. These vendors have been in the wedding industry for a long time and they understand the assignment. When someone signs up to join our Wedding Wish network as a vendor to grant a wish for a couple in need, they know that they are coming in to do something from, their hearts for someone that really deserves it, because there's an entire process that tells them that this person's definitely deserving, and we've gone through the medical paperwork and everything. So they come in and they sit down with these couples when the couples choose them, and they discuss with them, how can I help you best, achieve your dreams? And they know that they're not being paid for their services. They're doing it out of the kindness of their hearts. And we try to make it so that they aren't incurring too much of an expense. And granted, there's a write-off and there's the warm feelings in your heart, but these people are absolutely amazing. And I absolutely love every single one of the grant wishers that we have in our network.
Yeah, I mean, I think as an industry and weddings specifically, we all have this passion for hospitality and celebrating love and taking good care of people. And so when you've got the opportunity and you see someone really in need and struggling, and you have the availability, whether you're a vendor that's service-based only versus a vendor that has product, it's about finding someone who really needs it and giving it to them. And the process where you guys vet through all the applications, the board gets together and kind of makes those decisions, evaluating the details and the depth of information. It's really, really impressive. So, what types of services do you usually need donated from? And like, how much of a commitment does it really typically require from a vendor?
Excellent question. So, we have a network of wedding industry providers that encompasses everything from wedding dresses and suits to the cake, the DJ, the music, the venues. There are people who provide makeup and hair. There are people who provide the jewelry in some cases, our invitations, and we accept everyone who can contribute, no matter how small. Sometimes there are people who are just simple, let me come in and help decorate or put the chair covers on the chairs. And we appreciate that because every little bit helps. Weddings are a huge amount of work to coordinate and put together. And no individual part is more important than the other. And we appreciate every single one that comes in and donates their time. The wedding vendors who come in can expect to donate their services maybe once or twice a year. We only grant 4 wishes per year. So the couples that we approve, there's one per season. So typically there are 2 to 4 weddings per year. They're hosted Monday through Thursday, which allows those wedding vendors in the network to have their weekends available. So they're donating their time Monday through Thursday. And then the weddings are capped at 50 guests, which means that if you're a caterer, you're not feeding 200 people out of the kindness of your heart.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that the vendors feel like they aren't incurring too big of an expense, they aren't losing their weekend monies, and that they are still able to do something really amazing when they have extra time and not overly so. So 1 to 2 a year.
Well, and while I know you've been doing this for quite a few years, and you've got some amazing vendors that you've partnered with, are you still looking and are you still open, for more people being able to become a wish granter?
We are always looking for additional wish granters to join the network. So, for instance, it's always a struggle for us to find makeup artists. Sometimes the makeup artists are busy because there's only one or two in the network. And so we have to outsource projects that come out of the budget. So sometimes if there's only one or two of a particular category in the network, and both are busy during the date of the Wedding Wish grant, then we have to go out of network and cover an expense, which is why it's great for us to always have multiple vendors in each category
Yeah.
so that if one's busy, we can reach out and say, hey, are you available to help for this date and not have to incur additional expenses?
Yeah, and I mean, I think every penny that gets spent on a wedding service to help these couples is money that comes out of that, budget for the mental health support and the pieces like that. So as a community, us being able to band together, I thought too, one of the things that came to mind is how great it could be when, a vendor that does incur costs, maybe like catering and floral, because they've got actual goods, them working together to say, I'll do the bouquets, you do the centerpieces, like we can work together, as a community to help kind of stretch so no one incurs too much. So sounds like we've got to build up that database of all those wish granters and get some more of them. So if there was a vendor on the fence, right? I imagine sometimes people hear this, they're like, oh, I love the idea of this, but how much time do I have to commit? And I love that you shared that, the weddings are all on weekdays, so it's not taking up weekend business. But if somebody was on the fence saying, like, I like the idea of this, but maybe I can't donate my services, is there another way that they can support the organization?
Absolutely. So there are three types of donations that people can make. If the wedding industry provider is like, oh, my time, like I'm super busy, but I still want to help, there are donation options that are monetary. So you can make a monetary donation. And then there are donation options that look like, and here's one of my favorites. So Maria del Pilar from the bridal company has wedding dresses that rotate in and out of her inventory. When her inventory got to a place where she's like, I need to get rid of some of the older inventory, she donated it to Wedding Wish so that we could have an inventory of wedding dresses available for the brides to select from. So if you are someone who has extra decorations or extra dresses or extra whatever, those wedding supplies can be donated to the nonprofit. And that can be an amazing way to help because then we don't have to incur extra expenses on things
Oh,
we have in
girl, I
stock.
love that. I've got candles, gorgeous gold candle holders in the garage that I'm ready to
Yeah,
move out. I've got some linen we don't need anymore. I was like,
exactly.
donation coming, Leah. Donation is coming. So,
Thank you.
oh no. So, what kind of impact have you seen, not just for the couples, but for the vendors who participate? Like, what are some of the things they've shared with you?
So one of my favorite moments with the vendors was so the very first wish that we granted was supposed to be a one-off, right? I just had this idea. I wanted to donate a cake, and that story wanted my heart to do more. So I reached out to all these vendors and I asked them to help, and they did, and it was beautiful. And so to thank them, because they didn't have to do that, I created a space for us to come together and have dinner so that I could thank each one of them personally. And as we're having dinner, a few of them are looking at me like, so when's the next wedding? And I'm like, that
They're like,
that's
oh,
not
that
what we
wasn't
were
the
doing.
plan.
Like we
That
were
wasn't the
we were doing this
plan.
one
Right.
amazing thing. And so, they were excited about the idea of doing this regularly. And it was so amazing to hear that, they wanted to continue with me on this journey. And that made me feel so great to know that the vendors wanted to continue to help the community in this way.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like that feeling of giving back. And I think no matter what category you are in the wedding industry specifically, having that opportunity to see it. I know that Leah's got some events coming up. Our team is going to volunteer to help support the event. It doesn't matter what category of vendor you are, every wedding always needs hands and bodies on the day. So whether you are even if a caterer is sponsoring, great, but if I can help in any way in terms of help clearing dishes and clearing plates, like there's a lot of ways to volunteer, with the organization. I mean, cash is king, so monetary donations are, oh, will never be turned down. But at
Right.
the end of the day, being able to provide the services to couples who really need it. So, how can someone get involved as a wish granter? If they're watching this video and they're like, oh, I want to get on this list so that I'm one of the people that Leah and Wedding Wish can reach out to when they need support. How do they become? Where do they go? What's the first step?
Weddingwish.org. So on our website, the very first page that you'll encounter, you'll see a button that says join us. Join the Wedding Wish Grant Army. And that way, when you submit your information, it goes into our network database. And when we have a grant that comes through, the board says yes, then we sit down with those couples and we say, these are the vendors that are in our network that have agreed to help. If you like take a look at the list of um, for instance, hair salons, take a look at those. You can click onto the network providers logos on our website and you can see what their portfolios look like or what their business looks like, what their reviews look like. And you can choose from the category of salons who you'd like to work with. And then we reach out to the one that the couple has selected and say, hey, do you have this date free to grant a wish? Would you be willing to? Here's their story. Let us know. If they say yes, then boom, there's a match. If they say, I would love to, but I don't have that date available, we go back to the couple and we say, go back to the network and try again because they're not available. And then we go until we have matches for every single category.
Oh my God, that's such an incredible process. So, step one is going to the website, go over onto the vendors page where you can fill out the application, all the details, and all the information to become a wish granter. Is there anything else you'd want the wedding community to know about why this mission matters?
So I absolutely love the idea of taking that, let me do one wedding cake, and then turning it into a project where the entire community came behind the wedding wish idea and wanted to do more because I've always had a philanthropic heart. And it's so amazing to see that other people also do share my vision and my mission for this project and for the community. And one of the things that, as we were going through this wedding wish idea, that we decided it would be super important to also help them with their mental therapy, their mental, because oh my goodness, therapy is expensive. And people really, really are going through things that require them to have that additional love from a therapeutic point of view. And when we started doing it originally, we were only servicing the brides and the grooms with these therapy services. But now we offer these therapeutic services to the entire community for free. So the wellness workshop that we host once a month free for the community is also a product of Wedding Wish because we recognize that those therapy services that we offer to the brides and the grooms, those couples were really benefiting from being able to work through their things on a therapeutic level. And so we wanted to be able to provide that to the community as well. And we do that through the Wellness Workshop once a month, completely free, open to the community. And we host it in downtown Kissimmee. And so if anyone has a need for an outlet and just wants a for free because therapy is expensive, that's a service we provide and we want the world to know it.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see the reach that you've been able to get within our Central Florida community, not only for weddings, but being able to support people through the mission of your nonprofit. Well, if you're still here listening with us, whether you are a venue and you've got space that you're willing to donate on a weekday when it's probably sitting empty anyways, or a vendor in any category, and you're always thinking, I wish I could give back more. I wish I could find that couple who really just needs me and I want to help them, but I don't know where to find those. Wedding Wish is where you can find them. So head to weddingwish.org, fill out the form, become a wish granter. You get added to the website, your logo, the link to your business. That's good backlink back there for you, showing that you give back in the community. You can feature on your website that you're a wish granter and be able to help continue this amazing local organization to be able to grow. I know Wedding Venue Map is proud to not only be a wish granter, a helper, a supporter. I agreed to be on the board with Leah. I'm so excited to be able to be there and to be part of that community that gets to make the decisions on those couples and really be able to be there as a part of it. So I hope you guys will consider becoming a grantor. When Leah joined as a wedding venue map member and got more active in our bigger picture wedding community, not just the circle she was in. She was so passionate about this organization that she runs, and I knew that as a group we could help get behind her. So thank you, Leah, so much for sharing a little bit more about Wedding Wish so we can help fill up those Wedding Wish grantors more than you ever could have imagined.
Thank you so much, Shannon. I really appreciate you always. You're such an amazing resource and addition to anything that anyone's doing in a positive way, and I appreciate it.
Oh, well, go join everybody. Bye.